I traveled halfway across the entire world. Hi, I'm Wonder. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a trans woman content creator who exists on the internet. While this will touch on my experience being trans while traveling, I also want to throw in a lot of personal stories from this trip because it was the best 2 weeks of my life. So I'm urgently looking for a way out of where I'm living because I'm surrounded by people who want people like me gone. So I decided to go visit my girlfriend in so-called Australia to see if it would be an area that I'd want to live. And when I tell you that this was the best trip of my life, that still feels like an understatement. Well, I don't think we'll end up living there. I just wanted to share some of the stories I have from it being my very first time traveling after coming out. So I guess to start, we should start at the start. Starting off, I woke up at 1 a.m. preparing for my flight starting at noon. I masked up and traveled to the nearest international airport to me as I prepared for the upcoming next 32 hours of travel time. I went through TSA and was doing the normal checks, at least I assume. This was only my second time ever flying, so who really knows? Everything was going smoothly until I was flagged at the end of TSA because, let's just say while TSA somehow gendered me correctly, this was the first time I had ever been gendered correctly in public, and I wasn't presenting femme at all. The body scanner detected quote unquote unusual mass on my body. Anyways, after I got an extra pat down, and while being confused and worried, but also happy that I was gendered correctly, I made it to the terminal, and I waited for my first flight of the trip. I live on the east coast of the United States, which is arguably one of the farthest places away that I could be from Australia. So this was a multi-stop flight and a multi-day flight for me. I should also note that this is the first time that I had been outside of the EST time zone in my entire life. So jumping through around 10 different time zones, going 14 hours into the future was definitely one of the first experiences of all time for my first time. After a flight and some time later, I found myself in LAX, which was one of the most confusing airports to me. Being half asleep because I'd been awake for way too long at this point, it just made a really hard to travel experience for me. And even though I was absolutely exhausted, I couldn't sleep because I was traveling alone. And I had the longest layover of my life to just sit and exist in LAX. I was way too low energy to really explore the airport, so I just talked to my girlfriend the entire time until my flight was ready to board, which, funnily enough, was the last time that we would speak to each other until we met in person. But finally, after being awake for 24 very long hours, the flight to Sydney was ready to board. I was able to sit down and have an extra seat to myself and just relax. Relax. Why am I not relaxing? I only slept 4 hours on that 14-hour flight. Despite being awake for 24 hours, my body just refused to sleep. But finally, after what's now been around 36 hours with 4 hours of sleep for me, I landed in Australia. Why isn't happy music playing? You're not telling me there's more flight time, right? So after all this, my girlfriend doesn't actually live in Sydney. My girlfriend lives in Melbourne. So despite being absolutely exhausted, I still have one last flight and airport to go through, and then I'm there. Except this time, I have to travel to an entirely different airport, go through Australian TSA, show my passport, enter my information. So what was a safe 2-hour layover to get me to the terminal actually left me with only around 40 minutes to spare. But I finally got to sit down and wait at a terminal for one last time. As the terminal opened, I got on and off the plane in Melbourne. I rushed to my bags, and that's when I saw her, my girlfriend, for the first time. Honestly, that moment didn't feel real. It still doesn't feel real. I don't know if it was the surrealness of being halfway across the planet, seeing my girlfriend in person for the first time, or if it was me having 4 hours of sleep in around 40 hours now. Anyways, who knows? It could have been all three. All that matters is that I'm here now. At this point, Prisma, my girlfriend, is basically just holding my hand and leading me everywhere I need to go, because there is zero chance that I have the capacity to be able to figure this stuff out right now. We got on a bus and then walked back to where we were staying, which Fox said would be a short walk. But 20 minutes while being in the most exhausted state I had ever been in was not a short walk to my body. We got to where we were staying and I was really hungry. That's when I got to try what is now one of my favorite foods of all time, Aussie pizza. To all the people watching who don't know what that is, imagine a cheese pizza with ham, bacon, and egg as toppings. Basically a breakfast pizza. I at first wasn't sure if it was just because I was hungry or not, but after having it multiple times, no, Aussie pizza is just really good. Anyways, I had like 3/4 of a pizza and laid down where I then slept for 16 hours on the first day. Luckily, this was a 2-week trip, so I was able to take sufficient rest time and just exhaustedly exist for the first few days. After resting a good amount, I actually don't remember how long this was. The beginning days blurred together because all of the exhaustion, but eventually, after a long time in bed and a lot of really yummy food, I could take in the fact that I was there. I was with my girlfriend for the very first time and everything was, well, perfect. To start off our first adventure, I was determined to get my very first skirt. So after Prisma found a shop that was trans friendly and had skirts, off we went to find my very first piece of femme clothing. We got to the shop and it was overwhelming to say the least. My first time shopping for femme clothes and it was in person. I had no idea what my style was. I was so scared of someone saying something to me and I found it. I found a skirt that screamed to me and I didn't care what anyone thought. I grabbed it and tried it on and it was what I'd always wanted and it felt so freeing. With this newfound confidence, I rushed back to the skirt section and I found another skirt that screamed at me, which I obviously rushed to grab as well. After this, and being so happy, proud, and overjoyed at finally finding something that was me, entirely me, my style, and something I loved wearing, I went to the counter and saw some garters and knee socks that I had to pick up. I checked out and I now had my first clothes that I was actually happy and excited to have. Very first thing that I did was go back to the room we were staying in and try everything on. And that's the first time that I posted a picture of me, truly me, on the internet. I almost cried the first time I saw myself in the mirror. I had never had an outfit feel so correct and so perfect for me at the same time. For the rest of the trip, this is what I wore on like 90% of outings, and it was amazing. Prisma also found a bra shop that was trans friendly and offered free custom fittings while I was there, so we took the tram and rushed over there as well. And we were in and out so fast from just how quick the worker was able to perfectly match my bra size. So, with 2 new skirts, 2 new knee socks, and 3 new bras, I was prepared to take advantage of being able to dress full femme as much as possible, since I wasn't able to back where I unfortunately live. I know this is supposed to be a video dedicated to tips while traveling while trans, but honestly, I don't really have much to add when I was out wearing this outfit. Melbourne public is fortunately very trans safe, and only once did I feel even slightly observed or was ever conscious of what I was wearing. So if it's any help, if you're in a public trans safe area like I was, I didn't experience any glances, any glares, any even extra looks in general. While going out in full femme, wearing a keffiyeh, and being sadly one of the only people masking, I felt at peace and didn't feel out of place. I should definitely talk about the one time something happened, though. It wasn't anything really serious, and honestly, I'm so confused to this day about this interaction that I don't know if the person was trying to be a bigot or was an awkward ally. So, on one of the last days of the trip, my girlfriend took me to a hike that I had been really excited to go on, a planetary hike. If you don't know, in Melbourne, there's a 1 to 1 billion scale replica of the solar system, with the full hike being 5.9 kilometers. At every planet's location in the hike, there's a plaque that gives a little bit of information about the planet: average surface temperature, atmosphere, everything else you would want to know about it. Everything was going great and smooth until we got to Venus. After we got up to Venus to look at its stats, there was a person sitting to the side next to their bike who lightly said in our direction, "What's it say?" Which startled us, but they repeated themselves. "What does the plaque say?" Where I kind of just froze, but thankfully Prisma was able to say that it was Venus kind of just doing its Venus thing and all that. But even though we tried to keep the talk brief, the person continued and noticed us both in our knee socks and said something like, "Bet those things keep your legs warm, huh?" Which, given the person's tone, I still genuinely have no idea if it was an attempt to mock us wearing them or if it was a genuine, "Those are cool, I like those." A comment like this feels good natured to me on a first impression. However, this person's tone just felt off. But either way, after applying, we ended up moving on and finishing our hike with no more interference. Other than that one experience, though, everything was amazing and great, and it made me realize how much I was missing out on getting to simply be myself. My girlfriend and I got to go out shopping for cute clothes. We found a Pride Center that offered a load of different Pride merchandise that I'd picked up to bring home. We painted our nails together and we just simply existed happily and comfortably how we wanted. The main tip that I think I can give from this is it's scary. I know it's scary to go out and have the fear of being judged or worse in some areas. And I know that many people are more marginalized than I am since I'm white. And those who are will face a combo of transphobia and racism, further ableism, or other bigotries that I just can't speak on because I can't experience. I can only speak for my case, but I was fine. I was safe, and most importantly, I was happy and overjoyed with finally getting to be myself. The rest of the trip went amazing. Going to protests, trying new food with Prisma, going shopping, and just getting to exist together was more than I could ever ask for. And other than an airport staff being an asshole to me on the way back through LAX, even though I wasn't dressed in full femme for the way back, it was also smooth. It was a quick 2 weeks, and while Melbourne isn't going to be my home, it was easily the most important trip of my life. And I'm so excited to go into so many more with it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this style of video, and I hope you found a level of comfort or usefulness out of the stories I told. I'm currently trying my best to get out of a really bad living situation so that I can have more joyful moments like this. So if you want to help support me even more, head over to my Twitch and join my Discord. Twitch is my main content platform of where I exist on the internet, and Discord is where I'm the most active. I chat there daily with a bunch of other queer and trans members, and we'd love to have you stop by as well. That's all for me now, though. See you all next time. Love you all.